After the War of Light and Shadow, the evil Wood Protector, who should have been sealed, traveled to the continent of Tivat with the assistance of the Shadow Emperor in the dark. After the War of the Demon Gods, he became one of the 8 rulers of the mortal world, the Dark God, and brought the 8th element that was never possessed on the continent. What changes will happen to the adventure of travelers as a result of the dark element? New works, please spare my life. Single female lead, King of the Great Compassion Tree. Chapter 1. Crossing to the Tivat continent. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Jinji Su Gu. The Emperor's armor began to gather the energy of light into a small ball and launch its final attack on the Black Warcraft. A loud explosion sounded. The Black Warcraft let out howls of sorrow and was eventually defeated by the Emperor's armor and transformed into a magic spell. What no one knows is that a huge eye emits a strange red light as it gazes at everything. It didn't appear on the light and shadow battlefield until the Emperor's armor seal magic patch left. For a long time, this eerie eye let out a long sigh. Evil Wood, I can only help you here. Hehe, Emperor Guangming, you have intervened in the Earth War every time. It's my turn to intervene now. Where am I? In front of a pond in Yuan, a man dressed in black, handsome and with long hair fluttering, woke up leisurely with his head covered. The reader is the most handsome. I have also restored my human form, and I remember that the Black Warcraft of our 5 major protectors was defeated by the Emperor's armor. What exactly happened? This person is one of the 5 major protectors in the Shadow World, the Evil Wood Protector. Oh, my head hurts so much. The Evil Wood Protector covered his head and slowed it down for a while before extracting the information of the Dark Emperor from his mind and understanding what had happened. Emperor. Evil Wood Protector murmured to himself with some sadness. Don't worry, I will definitely fulfill my mission. But now you need to know where I am, otherwise everything will be impossible to talk about. From then on, the Evil Wood Protector began his legendary experience in the Tivat continent, but that's all for now. Evil Wood Protector was walking aimlessly on the road when suddenly a loud noise rang in his ear. Everyone fight against these monsters, kill, shouted a strong man with a beard all over his face. He rushed towards the monster while shouting, forming a fireball in his hand and shooting it at the young beast in the animal realm, killing one of them in one fell swoop. The war between monsters and humans has already begun. Hehe, these humans are really interesting. Can they still use the element of fire to fight against the enemy? The Evil Wood Protector smiled and turned around to leave. At this moment, a Beast Realm hound saw the Evil Wood Protector and opened its bloodthirsty mouth to bite at him. Find death. The Evil Wood Protector shouted angrily, only to see the Evil Wood Protector grab and pinch the void, and the Beast Realm hound could not move. Then, it was squeezed by an invisible giant force. In no time, it was crushed into powder and dispersed in the wind. The crowd and monsters next to them were all stunned, and the strong man led by them spoke directly. Immortal, immortal, you must be an immortal, please save us. Please beg the immortal master. The monsters were trembling all over, as if they had encountered something that made them afraid. I even forgot about running away. Evil Wood Protector ignored the strong man, and there seemed to be a hint of excitement on his face. I didn't expect these monsters to generate shadow energy. If there are enough monsters to kill. The Evil Wood Protector stared at these monsters, as if looking at some treasure. The gaze at the prey made even the strong men tremble with fear. Suddenly, the Evil Wood Protector rushed towards the pile of monsters like a gust of wind. When the strong man looked up again, all the terrifying monsters were killed and not a single one ran away. The strong man was overjoyed and said, "Thank you to the Immortal Master for saving his life. Thank you to the Immortal Master for saving his life." He even led the others to kneel down against the Evil Wood Protector. Get up. You must be influential. Please explain to me exactly where this is, and then take me to your leader. After everyone got up, the strong man excitedly talked to the Evil Wood Protector. This is the homeland of the Tivat continent, and we belong to the people of the rock demon god Morax and the dust demon god Hegentus. The world is not peaceful now, and various demon gods have been at war with each other for some reason in recent years. As the saying goes, immortals fight and mortals suffer. We mortals only have the right to be treated as cannon fodder. However, we have Morax as our lord, and all demon gods that invade will be suppressed by Morax. The strong man showed a proud expression. Hee, then you can lead me to find them. Evilwood Protector smiled. Well, I don't know how you call this immortal master. My name is Wang Fugue. Do you want to call me Xian? The Evilwood Protector said, you can call me Xian. Wang Fugue nodded and said, okay, Master Xian, then let me lead the way. Xian and Wang Fugue finally arrived at the depths of Gili Yuan. The location of the two adults is in front of us. Let's step back first. Wang Fugue bowed and then retreated. Xian entered the internal space, where there were many trees. It was autumn now, and the leaves had turned golden, as if stepping into a golden ocean. The ground is covered with glazed lilies, exuding a poetic and picturesque atmosphere. I saw a man with golden pupils wearing a dragon robe, exuding a calm and imposing aura that made people unable to resist pilgrimage and worship. The man didn't speak, just drank tea in front of the stone table. Xian couldn't help but marvel in his heart that he could encounter such a powerful figure in a different world, fearing that he was no weaker than his shadow protector, and even stronger than a point. In general rationality, if a guest helps me return to my original people, I should be a landlord and receive more hospitality. If the guest doesn't mind, they can call me Zhongli. Zhongli handed a cup of tea to Xian. Do you know the guest's name? Xian. Xian replied, feeling that although Zhongli had no ill intentions towards him, there was a hint of probing in his words. Oh, it seems that he doesn't trust me. Even if I help his people, it's still true. After all, it's just our first meeting. I'm afraid he also knows that I'm not from this world, Xian thought to himself. In terms of universal reason, Xian, should be grateful to you for saving my people. But I can sense that you are not a person in this realm, and there is a lot of dark aura in you that does not belong to this realm. I wonder what your attitude is towards the return to the origin. The atmosphere seemed to suddenly cool down, and neither of them spoke again. Just as the atmosphere was about to become unsustainable, Xian spoke up and said, Zhongli, I can feel that you are very powerful. To be honest, I have a secret in this world that I cannot be an outsider. But there is no reason or motivation for me and your Gue Li Yuan to conflict. You can rest assured. Zhongli's expression softened a bit. If that's the case, then it's best, Xian, drink tea. Xian raised his teacup and savored it carefully. Let's consider this cup of tea as a thank that you gift you gave me today. Next, we can talk about other things. Zhongli gave Xian a slightly unexpected look and quickly withdrew his gaze. Of course, I was born for a contract, and those who break the contract will be punished for breaking their promise. Quickly, Xian and Zhongli both emerged from the internal space. I have been waiting for a long time to come to my end. Xian saw Gue Zhong and said, Are you the other demon god from Gue Li Yuan? Gue Zhong nodded and gestured, I am the demon god Hegentus, you can call me Gue Zhong. Xian looked at Gue Zhong and Zhongli with great interest, Are you husband and wife? Gue Zhong's face turned seductive red when he heard these words, and he lowered his head without refuting Xian. From a rational perspective, Xian, your words are wrong. In the end, we are just like dot-minded friends. Please don't misunderstand, Zhongli shook his head. Xian didn't express himself, but Gue Zhong lifted his head and looked at Zhongli incredulously. Zhongli, you old stone is too much. Gue Zhong covered his face and cried, woo-woo. Woo-woo, Zhongli, you can live your life with the stone on Gue Li's original ground. Woo-woo. Zhongli wanted to say something, but Gue Zhong cried and flew away. Xian, What does it mean to come to an end? Zhongli didn't understand why he was just telling the truth and ended up feeling so sad. Upon hearing this, the corners of Xian's mouth twitched slightly, then shook his head and sighed, Zhongli, you are truly the demon god of rocks. Even your emotional intelligence is at the rock level. Then he flew away, Zhongli, I will abide by our contract and guard Gui Li Yuan for you. You must also abide by our contract. Zhongli smiled and said, the demon god of the contract should abide by the contract. Take care, Xian. The shadow will definitely return to the world, that day is not far away. Chapter 2. The Changes of Sky Island. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Tivat Continent, Sky Island. A tall and cold woman with white hair and golden pupils sat on a golden seat below the throne, seemingly sensing something. Standing up, the unchanged glacier face also showed a hint of interest. Outsiders. No problem, whoever it is, your journey ends here. This person is the maintainer of heavenly principles, the ruler of the four shadows, Asmod. Asmod was about to clear the anomalies in this world to maintain balance, but it was at this moment that Asmod felt a chilling chill all over his body. She immediately understood that a strong person was watching her, and that this person's strength was so strong that they could even easily crush her, the maintainer of the natural law, like ants. Who are you? Asmod asked, but there was no response. Just as Asmod was speculating about this person's purpose in his heart, the void twisted and a huge blood-red eye appeared above Sky Island. This eye has no emotions, only an endless indifferent expression. After a while, a majestic but dark voice came, you don't deserve to know my name. After speaking, this eye emitted a black light, which turned into a black tornado attacking Asmod. Asmod was greatly shocked in her heart. She knew that if she were hit by this eerie black tornado, she would be dead waiting for her, and even the Heavenly Lord could not save her. She released a continuous stream of red blocks, which exploded violently upon encountering a black tornado. Asmod took advantage of this opportunity to leave quickly, and must awaken the power of the heavens to possibly confront this eye. But the black tornado accelerated towards Asmod at this moment, and her red squares did not stop it at all. As the black tornado was about to devour Asmod, a giant sword appeared in the sky. The sword descended from the sky and split the eerie whirlwind in half, causing the black tornado to disappear into place. There is such a strong person in this continent, it's interesting, but it seems that he has been seriously injured, and only 50% of his strength can be used. If I were really here, even if you have restored all your strength, I would still be a weak person in my eyes. Killing you is not a waste of effort. His blood-red eyes emitted a strange sound. You're right. If your true self were here, I would definitely die today. But your situation is not much better. If I guess correctly, your true self should be fighting against some extremely strong person and unable to escape. Only a small part of the power can be differentiated. Moreover, the mainland law power of the Tivat continent further suppresses your differentiated power. Now your power is not my opponent, even if I can only exert 50% of my strength, said a man who was extremely illusory and could only barely see a trace of the outline. Blood-red eyes didn't panic when they heard this. With a faint smile, he said, but after you fight me to death, you can certainly kill me, but your injuries will never be able to recover and will only worsen until they fall. Upon hearing this, the man who couldn't see the outline clearly fell silent in a rare moment. Asmod couldn't help but ask the man, Heavenly Lord, we. Heavenly Lord interrupted Asmod's words, Asmod, pass on my will. No one of your four rulers is allowed to approach here, including yourself. Heavenly Lord, this. Asmod hesitated a bit. Empty governance, execute. Tianli said forcefully. Yes, Lord Tianli. Asmod had to step down. Now there are only the two of us, what do you really want to do? It's impossible for us to be burned together. Although I don't care, Tianli waved his hand as he looked at his blood-red eyes. Listen to me, come along. Blood-red eyes began to negotiate with Tianli. The blood-red eyes finally dissipated. Tianli sat on the throne as if pondering something. Asmod remembered something and immediately reported to Tenri, "Tenri, there are outsiders on the continent of Tivat." Tenri stopped thinking and turned to Asmod, "It doesn't matter. From now on, your 4 rulers must not interfere with all the actions of this outsider. If it weren't for the arrival of the strongest, I would still be in a deep sleep. Now, I will fall into a deep sleep to face that big plan." Asmod bowed and retreated, while Tenri sat alone on the throne muttering to himself, "Outsiders, I wonder if you will have any influence on our plans." Then Tenri's figure gradually disappeared. Returning to the Tivat continent, Xian stayed at the accommodation arranged by Zhongli. He made a contract with Zhongli in the Sea of Colorful Lilies. Xian wants to join the forces of Yuan to protect those humans. As a price, Zhongli needs to constantly hunt monsters and other demon gods for Xian, and hand over his body to Xian for handling. This contract will continue until the end of the Demon God War. In fact, Xian thought of something when he first killed a monster and discovered that it could collect shadow energy. After being killed, the negative emotions of the creatures on this continent, such as resentment, fear, and hatred, can be transformed into refined dark energy. This is good news, Xian smiled slightly. On Earth, the collection of shadow energy can only be generated through the negative emotions of humans during their lifetime. After death, there is nothing left, and the collected shadow energy is pitifully low and lacks purity. Xian seemed to have thought of something bad. If we transfer the situation of Tiva land to Earth, we can resurrect the army of powerful beasts and our 5 shadow protectors in advance. We don't even need the Emperor's armor to appear, and we have already ruled the Earth, But it's not too late. As long as I can collect enough shadow energy, I can resurrect other powerful beasts and the other 4 protectors. As he said, a hint of sadness appeared on Xian's incredibly handsome face. Brother Yuan, evil gold; Tong, evil water; Lai, evil fire; Lin, evil earth. We can see each other soon. Xuanshang Immortal, the Emperor and the returning Lord are calling you over, as if there is something important to announce. Wang Fuguin knocked on the door and said, "Readers, I'm sorry, I'm not quite sure what the people called the Emperor during the Demon God War. Let's call it the Emperor here first." "Okay, I'll be right over." Xian responded. Zhongli should be announcing my identity as a demon god and my intention to join Yuan. Xian left his residence and arrived at the agreed location. At the agreed location, Xian saw Zhongli and Gue Zhong sitting on the throne of the palace, one on the left and one on the right. It seems like an ancient emperor and empress of a mysterious eastern power. On both sides of the palace below them stood 4 nocturnal forks, 3 immortal deer, and 1 crane, with the other immortals standing behind them. On the huge square outside the palace, hundreds or even millions of people knelt down. Although each person had different facial features, height, and weight, they all showed excited and passionate expressions on their faces. Their most admired and beloved emperors and deceased adults have finally appeared today. Although they can only glance at them from a distance, it is this that makes everyone extremely excited. Zhongli and Gue Zhong saw that their rightful lord had arrived and began to stand up. Zhongli announced a major event. In terms of universal reason, Xian saved the people of Gue Yuan a few days ago and gave me Gue Yuan a great favor. On behalf of Gue Yuan, I would like to express my gratitude to Xian for his kindness. After speaking, Zhongli reached out and shook Xian's hand. After releasing his hand, he said, "I talked to Xian that day, and he was a peak demon god no weaker than me. He has promised me to join Gue Yuan. Everyone, please rise, let us welcome Xian's joining." Zhongli's words stirred up 1,000 waves like a single stone, and the people stood up to discuss. I didn't expect Xian Shangxian to be a demon god no weaker than the emperor. Now, our Gili Yuan is really as strong as an iron barrel. Yes, Xian Shangxian has shown us Gili Yuan's kindness, and he is also a powerful demon god. It's really great that he is willing to join us Gili Yuan. What kind of Xian Shangxian should be called Xian Lord? Excited people began to shout in unison, welcome Xian Lord to join us Gili Yuan. Long live Xian Lord. The voice echoed through the sky. Xian raised his hands to signal the people to stop and continued, I volunteered to join Gili Yuan at the request of Morax. I don't have any other abilities, but with me, the people of Gili Yuan will not be disturbed by demons. More enthusiastic cheers erupted at the scene, while Lu Yun, borrowing the wind, seemed to want to say something to Zhongli. Chapter 3. Joining Gui Yuan. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Zhongli seemed to have understood Lu Yun Jiefeng Jinjuan's thoughts, and his golden pupils looked at Lu Yun Jiefeng Jinjuan. It doesn't matter, although Xian's purpose is not simple and he seems to have some plans, he has no ill intentions towards us Gili Yuan. He joined Gili Yuan because of our contract. Once the contract is completed, he will immediately leave Gili Yuan. Lu Yun, borrowing the wind, could only nod and say yes, feeling a hint of caution towards Xian in his heart. Quickly, the people returning to the original place retreated one after another after paying respects to Xian. Only the immortals in the main hall remain. Zhongli introduced the immortal to Xuani. This is Lu Yun borrowing wind Jinjuan, Zhongli introduced to Xian. Xian nodded and Lu Yun borrowing wind Jinjuan also returned a salute, but Xian could feel a hint of caution from Lu Yun borrowing wind Jinjuan towards him. Xian didn't say anything, but Zhongli introduced the immortals one by one, giving them and Xian a preliminary impression of each other. By the way, there's also Ping and the demon god Marcus. They have something to attend to and are not here. I hope you can understand, Xian. Gui Zhong explained on the side. Xian represents understanding. Suddenly, a soldier ran into the main hall in a panic and quickly saluted before speaking, to inform the emperor, there is a yiksha on the west side of our return to the original place, which is being slaughtered. The Qianyan army is already unable to suppress it. Please take action to subdue this yiksha with the help of the emperor and the immortal families. Zhongli nodded and said, okay, thank you for your hard work. Please step back first. The soldier of the Qianyan army bowed and stepped back. Xian wanted to say something, but was stopped by Zhongli. Xian, although Gui Yuan is powerful now, there are still many demon gods trying to bring war to our Gui Yuan. If I were there, those demon gods wouldn't dare to invade easily, but recently some demon gods have been constantly provoking me. I must take action to suppress these demon gods. At that time, Gui Yuan only had two demon gods, Marcus and Gui Zhong, who were not very good at fighting, and couldn't stop them. Zhongli glanced at Xian and continued, I was originally worried that something unexpected might happen to Gili Yuan because of this, but you have come. We just announced that you have joined our Gili Yuan, and the news has not spread so quickly yet. You will stay still in Gili Yuan. If a demon attacks Gili Yuan, you can catch them off guard. Xian nodded and asked Zhong Lifia, who are you planning to send to suppress that yiksha? Zhong Lifia replied without hesitation, of course, it is our 4 yikshas. This disruptive yiksha is controlled by the dream demon god, and harming others is not his original intention. We need to defeat him, break free from the control of the dream demon god, and then let him join us to increase our strength. Zhongli turned his head again and said to the 4 yaks, Fuxia, remember not to harm the life of that yak. A yak with 4 arms nodded, please rest assured, Emperor. The 4 of us will definitely save that fellow tribe. 4 nocturnal forks rose into the air and hurried towards the western border of Gili. At the same time, the Qianyan army fought against the rebellious yiksha, but the situation seemed pessimistic. There were a large number of corpses lying on the ground, including those of the Qianyan army and ordinary people who were powerless. The remaining soldiers of the Qianyan army were all injured, and they seemed to be running out of strength. However, there was no fear in their eyes, only determination. Everyone must persevere. The Emperor and the immortal family will soon come to support us. Before that, we will be the last barrier for the people. The green Yiksha raised its weapon and charged towards the soldiers of the Qianyan army. One Qianyan army soldier wanted to use his weapon to stop the attack of the nameless Yiksha, but he even left without even launching a block. Blood spurted out like a water pump from the incision in the head. The body collapsed like powerless cotton. There was even a strong expression of disbelief on his face. Let's all go together. Although the officers of the Qianyan army were shocked by the attack speed of the nameless Yiksha, they quickly reacted and commanded the remaining soldiers to launch an attack on the nameless Yiksha together. At this moment, the nameless Yiksha suddenly stopped moving, which gave the leading officer of the Qianyan army an ominous feeling in his heart. However, at this point, the arrow was already on the line and had to be fired. Jingyao Demon Dance. A strong karmic barrier emerged from the body of the nameless Yiksha. His eyes also became chaotic. With just one strike, all the Qianyan army was defeated. Except for the officer in charge of the Qianyan army, all the remaining Qianyan army soldiers were killed without exception, and the officer in charge of the Qianyan army also had more venting and less intake, clearly at the end of the crossbow. Just as the nameless Yiksha was about to give him his final blow, a thunderous roar exploded in his ear. Stop! Accompanied by this thunderous roar, a fist flew rapidly towards the nameless Yiksha. Nameless Yiksha did not expect others to launch an attack on him. In an instant, he was hit by a fist rushing towards his face. I took a few steps back. I currently have no ability to attack. Taking advantage of this opportunity, several Yikshas began to examine the injuries of the Qianyan army officer. And the officer of the Qianyan army was already as angry as a thread, and it seemed that he could not survive. He reluctantly opened his eyes and saw 4 night forks. Quick, Farnan, take him to the place of the deceased. That night fork is being dragged by the 3 of us. Farnan nodded and was about to pick up the officer and rush to his place of death when the officer shook his head with all his strength. A few Yiksha lords, I'm hopeless. Please make sure to subdue that unnamed Yiksha. He's really too strong, we can't stop him at all. If we let him rush into Gili's original territory, it will cause even greater casualties. Suddenly, he spat out another mouthful of blood, and his eyes dimmed a bit. It's really good. We dragged him down. The Yiksha adults. Here they are. The people returning to the original place have been saved. Qianyan. Firm. Heavy mountain. No. The officer's eyes completely dimmed, and his hand slipped weakly. His fingers pointed in the direction of Gili Yuan, but he could never go home again. The 4 Yakashas fell silent and saluted the officer of the Qianyan army. At this moment, the nameless Yiksha also reacted and picked up a weapon and rushed over. Numerous purple currents emanated from the floating body, and his eyes turned red. He turned around and shouted angrily, "Here! Me! Death! Come!" His whole body's currents converged into a thunder dragon and smashed towards the nameless Yiksha. Nameless Yiksha felt the threat and wanted to dodge. The 3 night forks next to him also launched an attack on the nameless night fork. Although the nameless night fork blocked the 3's attack, he couldn't avoid Fuxia's full force attack. Bang! A violent explosion came. The thick smoke obscured the sight of the 4 night forks. They did not let their guard down. They knew the strength of the nameless Yiksha, and the attack from Fuxia would cause him serious injuries at most, but it was impossible to kill him. Sure enough, the smoke dissipated and I saw that although the nameless Yiksha was seriously injured and could only barely stand with weapons, there was still a long way to go before death. Ladies and gentlemen, give him your final blow now. Be careful not to hit hard, after all, the Emperor's request is to capture the nameless Yiksha alive rather than kill him. At this moment, a sudden mutation occurred and a black light descended from the sky, enveloping the nameless Yiksha. The silent Yiksha let out a scream, and even couldn't help but feel pain in the end. He began to crazily attack himself with weapons, and was forced to poke more than a dozen fist-sized blood holes on his body. The screams of the nameless Yiksha gradually disappeared, and when they looked up again, their eyes turned purple. He let out a woman's voice and said, "Hee, I didn't expect that just sending a Yiksha to kill the people returning to the original place to retaliate against Morax, would lead to the 4 Yikshas under his command. But I've had enough fun with them, it's time to leave." The nameless Yiksha quickly flew away, and Mienra was about to catch up when Ingda stopped him. "Mienra, you can't catch up. The dream demon god controlled the nameless Yiksha, and we can't compare to the demon god in any way." Mienra could only sigh and shake his head. The dream demon god laughed heartily as he fled and said, "Morax, this is the price you have to pay. From now on." "Oh, dream demon god, I would like to hear what will happen in the future." A golden-eyed man dressed in a dragon robe blocked dream demon god's retreat. "Morax. What are you?" The dream demon god was shocked. Immediately fleeing at any cost, even burning the source of life of the nameless Yiksha at any cost. Zhongli shook his head and said, "I don't know how to repent. Those who break their promise will be punished by Shiryan. Since you have violated the contract and committed a crime, I will return to my original place. You should be prepared to pay the price. The wall stands tall and towering." Zhongli launched an attack, and a huge rock pillar smashed towards the dream demon god. "Ah!" The demon of dreams let out a scream and fell to the ground. Zhongli's left hand caressed the head of nameless Yiksha, and he let out a series of screams, "Morax, you destroyed part of my soul today, and I will repay it twice the next day." Part of the soul of the dream demon god has dissipated, weakening her strength by at least 30%. "I cannot return to my original state in the short term. Poor child, I am giving you a rebirth today, and from now on, you will be called Shi. Zhongli gave Shi a trace of her own origin. Chapter 4. Exclusion of Returned Indigenous People. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Zhongli returned to the original battlefield holding the unconscious mandible. The battlefield, which used to have only 4 Yikshas, now gathers a large number of soldiers from the Qianyan army. They are dealing with this hellish battlefield. Some psychologically fragile soldiers are secretly crying. "Fuxia, how are the casualties in our hometown?" Zhongli looked at Fuxia, who was handling post-war affairs, and asked. Fuxia seemed to be in a bad mood, but when the emperor asked him a question, he still responded. "To the emperor, our army has lost 57 people and civilians have lost 135. When Fuxia finished speaking, it seemed as if he had drained all his strength. After hearing the answer from Fuxia, Zhongli remained silent. After closing his eyes for a while, he opened his eyes and said, "If we bury the deceased people and soldiers, we must provide sufficient compensation to the families of the fallen soldiers. The families of the deceased people must also do their best to compensate." Fuxia nodded, and then he saw Shi, who was being held in Zhongli's arms. "Emperor, this." Zhongli's golden pupils looked at Xiao, and unexpectedly showed a hint of warmth in his once rock-solid double pupils. "Don't worry, I have destroyed some of the souls of the dream demon god and eliminated the control and injuries on this Yiksha. Starting today, he is the 5th Yiksha, named Shi. Yes, Emperor." Fuxia bowed to Zhongli, but the attitude of the people and the military towards the mandarins is probably. This is also something that cannot be done. I will explain the reason to the people. Although the people will understand, they will still emotionally disagree with Shi and even reject him. It all depends on his own future performance. Zhongli shook his head. Help him find a room for healing and let him rest here. Follow the imperial decree. After handing over the mandarins to the floating house, Zhongli left. Fusha looked at the young man in his arms with a somewhat helpless expression. Xiao, it's not easy for you to walk on your way back to the original place. Where am I? Xiao woke up in the room and looked at everything in front of him, but soon his head hurt. While Zhongli released his control and treated his injuries, he also implanted memories of what happened at the time. Emperor, murmured Xiao to himself, I will do everything in my life to redeem my sins. She walked out of the room, preparing to go to the battlefield at that time to pay homage to the unjust soul who died because of him. But shortly after walking, many people pointed at him. It's this Yiksha that has killed so many of our people and soldiers. I really don't understand why the Emperor allowed this killer demon to join us in the return to the origin, said a middle-aged woman. Didn't the Emperor explain everything to us? He killed because he was under the control of an external demon god. Killing was not his original wish, a young man replied. Xiao Zhu, you are standing and talking without hurting your back. It's not that there are no dead people in your family. My nephew happened to be stationed to the west of Gili Yuan that day. Do you know the expression of grief on my younger brother's face when he saw his son's body? Sigh, what harm did our family do? The middle-aged woman said, sobbing. That's right, don't be such a good person. 2 of my 3 grandsons died in his hands, and he's a demon. I'm sorry. An old man spat in the direction of Xiao. She did not respond to the words of those people. He knows what these people are saying is right. Although he didn't intend to do those killings, those people died because of him. Suddenly, an 8 or 9-year-old child ran over crying. You give back my dad, you give back my dad. Although the child was young, his eyes were filled with hatred. After catching Xiao, he started punching and kicking her. I was in a hurry and even began to bite into Zhao's arm with my mouth. Because he bit on Zhao's arm, his next words were vague, but he could vaguely hear what he was saying. Why did you kill my father? My mother died when I was born with difficulty giving birth, and it was my father who raised me. Now my father has also died because of you. You are a bad person. The child finished speaking with tears streaming down his face. Despite biting for too long and causing his mouth to ache now, he still hasn't let go of his mouth. He wants to bite the demon that killed his father to death. She is a fairy, so the child's punches, kicks, and bites have no effect on it. This child is so fragile that it can be easily killed with just one finger. But at this moment, Zhao's face was filled with guilt. He crouched down and said to the child. Child, I'm sorry for you. If you want revenge, just come and do it. I won't resist. But please wait for some time until you grow up to avenge you. Because I have promised the Emperor to serve for Gili Yuan. When you grow up, I should have made some achievements for Gili Yuan. Then you avenge and kill me, so I have no regrets. The child was stunned, and he released his bite on the mandible. Okay, remember that you owe our family 1 life. No, you owe us hundreds of lives from Gili Yuan. When I grow up, I will come to seek revenge on you, and I will definitely kill you. She nodded and continued forward, although the voice of the people's condemnation of she had weakened due to she's words just now. But there are still many people cursing and spitting at him. Occasionally, saliva spat on him, and he only wiped it off without doing anything else. Someone hit him with something and continued moving forward as if there was nothing left. Finally, he arrived at the battlefield, where the former battlefield had now turned into a cemetery. The mounds of soil and tombstones turned into sharp blades, deeply piercing into the heart of the mandarins. Xiao let out a sigh. Ladies and gentlemen, it's me who apologize to you. If it weren't for me, you wouldn't have died. In the past, only mortals knelt down to worship immortals without immortals kneeling down to worship mortals. Today, I'm breaking this rule. It's not just because of you, but because over the years, I've been controlled by the demon god of dreams to kill all living beings and apologize. With that, she knelt down straight. After kneeling for a while, Xiao stood up and said, "Don't worry, I will use my achievements to wash away my own sins in the future." At this moment, Zhao's eyes became extremely firm. He arrived at a high mountain, overlooking the bustling Gili plain below. At this moment, someone patted Xiao on the shoulder, and when Xiao turned around, it was Fire Ratting Da. Ingda smiled and said to Xiao, "Have you untied the knot?" Xiao was a bit surprised. "You? How could you find me? Shouldn't you hate me like the people of Gili Yuan?" This time, it was Fa Nan who answered him. "Indeed, we had a rejection or even hatred attitude towards you at first. But today, the Emperor asked the four of us to observe your actions today. Your actions make us feel that your nature is kind. You can be trusted." "Oh, why are you talking so much?" Mi Nu smiled. "My name is Mi Nu, and this silly guy is called Fuxia. The red Yeka is called Ingda, and the blue Yeka is called Phelan. Hey, who are you talking about?" Fuxia was dissatisfied. "Why, isn't it that you're a big idiot?" Mi Nu shrugged with a nonchalant expression. "You." Fuxia's face became very unattractive. "Mi Nu, you'd better not sleep too hard today. Humph, if you have the ability, come and give it a try." "You idiot." At this moment, she smiled and Fuxi said, Your joining time is the latest, so we'll call you the fifth brother." "I'm the big brother." "Mi Nu is the second, Ingda is your third sister, and there's no need to say much about it. It must be your fourth sister." She saluted the four Yikshas one by one, saying, "Greetings to big brother, second brother, third sister, fourth sister." The four Yikshas immediately laughed upon hearing this, especially when it came to Phelan. Before she arrived, she was the youngest. Now she also becomes a sister. "Ha ha ha, I don't need to be so polite. Let's go, big brother will take you on a sightseeing trip to Giliuan today." Fuxia laughed. 5 people began walking shoulder to shoulder towards the foot of the mountain. And they don't know that many years later, some of them will become married to each other, but that's all for now. Guess who got married to whom? I won't tell you, hee hee. Chapter 5. Return to the original crisis. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Tivat continent, the territory of the dream demon god. The woman sitting on the throne was roaring unwillingly, "Damn it, Morax, you destroyed my soul clone. I am not compatible with you." This woman was the dream demon god who was defeated by Morax that day. Not only was his soul damaged, but even the Night Hark was saved by Morax. This time, he really lost his wife and his soldiers. The dream demon god became more and more angry as he thought about it. Suddenly, he shouted to his subordinates, "Someone, bring all the prisoners from the human tribe we conquered yesterday." The subordinates beside him bowed to the dream demon god and retreated to prepare. Soon, thousands of human prisoners were brought to the front of the hall. With a wave of his hand, the demon god of dreams enveloped thousands of human prisoners in a massive, rainbow-auspicious cloud. Thousands of human prisoners, from initial panic to confusion, eventually losing their color in their eyes. Well, it's still the best place to eat in human dreams. This makes me feel much better now. The dream demon god thought of something else. Maybe I can join forces with all the demons in the surrounding areas of Gili to jointly attack Morax, but they have long been displeased with Morax. Don't you think the proposal of dream demon god is very useful, inspired by dream demon god? All the demon gods from the surrounding areas of Giliuan participated in the meeting to suppress Morax. Of course, except for the salt demon god Hulia in the salt region of the earth, there were a total of 15 demon gods, including the dream demon god. Even the continent of Tivat has only given birth to 72 demon gods so far. The proportion has to be said to be quite large. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the territory of my dream demon god. The dream demon god spoke first. Dream demon god, if you have something to say, speak quickly and fart quickly. Don't grind and chatter. Sand demon god's temper suddenly rose. Readers are big, some demon gods are fictional by me, don't worry too much. I beg all readers to give me a break. Readers are big and handsome. That's it, the demon god of dreams. You said you invited us to fight against Morakots together. Although we were all very dissatisfied with Morakots, he was really too strong. Even the 15 demon gods probably couldn't please Morakots. The demon god of Vortex, Ossel, played the drums of retreat. Ossel even remembered and Morakots cut off most of his tentacles because he disliked him very much. If it weren't for running fast, Morakots would probably have cut off all his tentacles, and he hasn't recovered yet. Humph, if you ask me, we should unite and take down Morakots. After all, his return to the original place is the wealthiest territory among all the demon gods in our region. The demon god Chi was ambitious. Don't worry, we're not targeting Morakots himself this time. Although Morakots is strong, he's just one person. Even with the rock dragon that Morakots revived under the earth's veins a few years ago, it's just the power of the two peak demon gods. Although we can't defeat them, it's definitely more than enough to hold them down. The Dream Demon God is quite confident. Dream Demon, is your mind flooded? What's the use of dragging Morakots and that rock dragon? The demon Chi didn't quite understand. The three heads of the Vortex Demon God Ossel on the side were faintly lined with black lines, and he felt speechless. Are you stupid? Out of 15 demon gods, we randomly choose 2 or 3 to attack Yuan, and the remaining demon gods drag Morakots and the rock dragon together. Isn't Yuan in our bag? Humph, if we follow this plan, Yuan is indeed within reach. After all, the demon gods of Dust and Stove are just lower-level demon gods. They can't stop our attack at all. But if we fail, then, said the demon god Orobas, who had been silent all along. Some readers may have some doubts. Isn't Orobas in Inami? He actually arrived after being expelled by Morakots on Liyue, and Inami was then expelled by Thunder Movie. He then fled to the Dark Sea and brought the people of the Abyssal Palace to the ground, using his own snake scales to build the Sea Chi Island. Finally, he was ordered to commit suicide after seeing the Forbidden Book of the Heavenly Principles. Coincidentally, there was a shortage of resources on the Sea Chi Island at that time, and the people demanded that the Eastern Expedition Thunder truly occupy the territory. Therefore, the great snake Orobas took this opportunity to complete the suicide order. Before his death, he made the Sea Chi Island submit to the God of Thunder. I am very sorry for any inconvenience caused to the normal writing. There may be some interference, but I think it's better to explain it in case some readers don't understand. Smiling face, is there still a way out for us, Orobas? If we don't take this opportunity to inflict heavy damage on Yuan, we will never have a chance. After all, Morakots is not someone we can match. The Dream Demon asked Orobas. Suddenly, the demon god Orobas fell silent, and he understood that Morakots was not his match. If he couldn't find a way to defeat Morakots or inflict heavy damage on the original place, he would have to flee to another area. After all, only 7 demon gods are allowed to win this demon war and establish the 7 kingdoms of the earth on Sky Island. Since everyone has no objections, let's take action. This time we must deal a heavy blow to Yuan. Perhaps after plundering Yuan supplies, we may have a chance to compete with Morakots. The Dream Demon God waved his hand. What they don't know is that if everything follows the predetermined trajectory and remains unchanged, they can definitely invade Yuan and plunder a large amount of materials, and even kill the demon god of dust to come to an end. But the bad thing is that there is a variable called Xian. And it is precisely because of this variable that they will pay a painful price. Maximus and Ping, you're back. Zhongli saw 2 figures from afar, one of whom was a normal person's body, a magnificent woman holding a chain. The other body is incredibly huge. Like a moving mountain. See Emperor. King Xianren bowed to Zhongli. Morax, who is this? Maximus asked as he looked at the spinning wheel. Zhongli also explained to them the reason behind this. Welcome, Xian. Maximus smiled slightly, but his huge face didn't match well. King Xianren also expressed greetings. Xian didn't speak, just nodded. Morax, don't forget our agreement, said Zhongli, looking aside. In the light of universal rationality, those who break their promises will be punished by eating rocks, and I will abide by our agreement. They're here. Morax looked into the distance. He flew up into the sky and announced the decree. All the immortals, Qianyan army, obey your orders. Follow me on the expedition. The immortals nodded and said yes. And the Qianyan army has already begun emergency mobilization. Zhongli looked at Xian again, a hint of hesitation revealed in his golden pupils but quickly became firm. He advised Xian, don't take action too early. You should catch them off guard. Xian nodded, with an excited expression on his face. This is nature. After waiting for so long, a demon-level character has finally arrived. Use your negative emotions such as resentment and fear after death to pour out a path for us, the strong ones in the film world, to return. Xian muttered to himself. Soon, Zhongli and the immortals, as well as the Qianyan army, arrived at the border between Giliyuan and other demon tribes. I only saw a middle-aged man waiting at the border. He had golden pupils like Zhongli, but his figure was much fatter than Zhongli's. Like a tumbler. Ruatuo. Zhongli greeted the middle-aged man. Morax, you finally came. I thought you wanted me to fight against so many demons on my own. The middle-aged fat man smiled. In terms of universal rationality, you should know that I am not a person who gives up comrades in arms, Zhongli explained to Ruatuo. Che, you really don't know how to joke, Morax. King Ruidaro shrugged boredly. Then he asked Zhongli with a serious expression, Morax, are you sure that the one on Gili Yuan is safe? Can you trust that one? Zhongli looked at King Ruatuo long and said, what if you don't believe him? These demon gods are obviously playing tricks. We had anticipated this situation long ago, didn't we? I could feel that the person had no ill intentions towards us, Gili Yuan, and probably wouldn't attack the people there. The worst-case scenario is that he abandoned Gili Yuan. As long as we defeat them quickly enough, everything can be saved. Oh, you're still as confident as ever, Morax. So I should also show some of my true abilities. If the Dragon King had changed back to his original posture. At this moment, black clouds cover the blue sky. More than 10 demon gods and a massive army appeared in the sky. As the saying goes, the dark clouds are pressing down on the city, ready to destroy it. Morax, today is your day of death, shouted the dream demon god led by him. Morax summoned his artifact, the rainbow sword. Pointed to a group of demon gods in the sky. Then you guys come and give it a try. The next moment. As the leaders of all sides issued orders to attack, the armies of both sides immediately fell into a melee. Chapter 6. Blood Battle returns to the origin. You are listening at novelfull.audio. A total of 5 to 6 million troops from both sides engaged in a bloody battle at the border between Giliyuan and other demon god territories. So much so that several thousand years later, Liyue historians referred to this battle as the Giliyuan meat grinder, but that's all for now. Let's go back to the present. Both sides of the soldiers used all their strength to kill the enemy soldiers, and the combat effectiveness of the Qianyan army was relatively strong. The individual's quality is very high. Often, forming a formation with 3 people can resist more than 10 opponents. But the opposing army also has an advantage, yes, readers should have thought of it, which is the advantage in numbers. Because it was a joint campaign by more than 10 demon gods against Giliyuan, even though the total number of troops in each demon god's tribe was far less than that in Giliyuan, the total number of troops in the 10+ tribes combined was 5.6 times that of the total number of troops in Qianyan army. The battle situation has become anxious. The immortals of Yuan were also dragged down by the immortals of the opposing army fighting against Zhong, and the situation was also in a state of anxiety, unable to end the battle for a while. The breakthrough point of war lies in the top combat power of both sides. As long as either side's top combat power wins, the other side's army will quickly collapse. Zhongli and King Ruodolong are truly the best friends in their relationship. They were just two people but they cooperated quite well, struggling to suppress these dozen or so demon gods. Although the individual combat power of these dozen or so demon gods is far inferior to that of Zhongli or Ruodo Dragon King, but still relying on their numerical advantage, they dragged Zhongli and Ruodolong King here. In the battle, the demon god of sand caught a small flaw in Zhongli and began using his sand power to summon the yellow sand in the sky to attack a small flaw in Zhongli. It has to be said that the sand demon god has a relatively strong ability to control the fighter jet, and this strike actually injured Zhongli's left arm. But Zhongli truly deserves to be known as the god of martial arts in later generations. Even if his left arm was injured, it did not affect his combat in the slightest. He threw his famous weapon, the Guanhong spear. The spear pointed straight at the demon god of sand. Zhongli's attack made the sand demon god feel the threat of death. He wanted to avoid Zhongli's attack, but suddenly realized that he seemed to be locked in and unable to move. He watched as Zhongli's rainbow sword pierced his heart. The body of the sand demon god immediately fell down. Even though he was a demon god, he was an almost immortal existence. But death under Zhongli's strong attack is only a matter of time. I saw Guanhongji's spear automatically fly back into Zhongli's hand. Zhongli immediately thrust towards the demon god of the vortex, Ossel. Othello was suddenly stabbed in the head by Zhongli without realizing it. Othello screamed wildly, feeling a bit regretful about wanting to attack Zhongli. However, he couldn't turn his head and could only hope that the attack on the demon god returning to Li Yuan would succeed. But the final result seems to have disappointed him. If the achievements of King Tuolong are even more formidable, he is the second-generation rock dragon king who can freely control the four elements of fire, thunder, ice, and water. In the early days of Tivat, the rulers were not Tianli in his four shadows or demon gods, humans, but the noble dragon race. In battles on the Tivat continent, the dragon race always had an advantage over the demon gods. Under the constant elemental attacks of the king of Rabdosaurus, the snake body of the demon god Orobas was forcefully blasted into several huge blood holes by the elemental attacks of the king of Rabdosaurus, and the entire snake body seemed to be about to split in half, which was very tragic. At this point, I also have to lament how unfortunate the fate of this Orobas was. He was beaten by Morakots and the king of the Rondrans in Rime, and by the Thunderbolt True Thunder movie in Inami. He was dragged to death by the people of the Abyssal Palace in the outer sea of the dark. I would like to call him Tivat's greatest enemy demon god. The star demon god, one of the many demon gods besieging the king of the radiant dragon, was even more miserable than Orobas. Due to her weaker combat power among the many demon gods, she was caught by the king of the radiant dragon at the beginning of the war and used the element of fire to attack her head, causing her to fall on the spot. Even without a scream, it disappeared like that. Moreover, what scares many demon gods even more is that Zhongli and King Ruodolong become more and more brave as they attack. And they are getting weaker and weaker, and if they continue to fight, they will definitely be all killed soon. But now they can only grit their teeth and continue fighting, because many years of combat experience have taught them that if they give up fighting at this time, they will be immediately killed. Now we can only rely on the three demon gods who ambushed Yuan to successfully succeed. In a peaceful sky of returning to the original place, three blurry figures appeared. In order to ensure the smooth battle of attacking Li Yuan, the demon gods dispatched three demon gods. One of them was actually a superior demon god, and he was also the best among the superior demon gods. The other two demon gods, although only in the middle position, have reached the boundary of breakthrough, and it is believed that they will soon break through to the upper-level demon gods. Great, great, great. Now Morax and the Rock Dragon King are not here, and only the Stove Demon God Maximus and the Dust Demon God are at the end of the line. Yuan and us are just poachers, the strongest higher-level demon god couldn't help but say. Once we break through Yuan, we will snatch all their supplies and kill all their people to relieve our hatred towards Morax, said another ugly-looking middle demon god. This median demon god is known as the demon god of the moon. Although his strength may not be among the top among many demon gods, his appearance is a first-class presence among them. He often takes pride in his appearance. Until one time he invaded Yuan and was punched in the face by Morax. Generally speaking, even if a demon god is hit on the door, there is nothing wrong with it. But Morax is the exception. His powerful rock elemental power destroyed the face of the moon demon god. Let him fall from the peak of his appearance to the bottom of his appearance. Now that he finally has the opportunity to attack Yuan, he must repay Morax well. The demon god of dust and the demon god of stove, Marcus, heard the commotion and quickly appeared. They could tell at a glance that the cultivation of these three demon gods was far beyond what the two of them could match. But as the only two demon gods in Yuan, they must guard Yuan well. Sir, leave these two demon gods to me. I want Morax to know the pain of losing a close friend. The moon demon god volunteered to the higher demon god. Okay. The upper-level demon god didn't even bother to lift his eyelids. After all, the dust demon god Guizhong and the stove demon god Maximus were too weak. He doesn't even have an interest in getting hands on. Haha, no one can save you if Morax is not here today. I have admired you for a long time, young lady. Don't worry, I won't kill you. Besides that, I will marry you openly. The usually very good-tempered Guijing was completely angered by the words of the moon demon god. What kind of stinky fish and rotten shrimp are you? You deserve me, a guy who only launches surprise attacks when Morax is not around. I really suspect that fate is blind. How could you, like a turtle bastard, survive in this world? Your ability to live is the greatest insult to the Tivat continent. Oh no, even if you die, you insult the Tivat continent. I don't care about you, you die for me. After hearing the final scolding, the demon god of the moon remained expressionless. But his heart was already like boiling magma. He will definitely make Guijing pay the price for his cheap mouth. The moon demon god launched an attack first. His figure is as elusive as a ghost. Just as he was about to give Guizhong and Maxius a heavy blow, he suddenly realized that Guizhong and Maxius had no panic on their faces, only a hint of mockery. This abnormal behavior made him feel a bit uneasy. But since the attack has already begun, it is impossible to retract it. Let's wait until we attack first. At this moment, a sudden mutation occurred. Black Domain. A voice full of evil aura echoed in the ears of the three demon gods. Before they could react, they had already entered the Black Realm. There is no sunshine here, no glimmer of light. The demon god is already an existence that very people can understand. Even in a completely dark environment, they can still see clearly, but in this dark realm, they can't see anything. Soon they were horrified to find that their power was slowly fading. Let's use you as the first step in the revival of the Shadow Army. Chapter 7. The Death of the Innocent Lord in the Sky Moving Guide. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Readers, there's no need to die in the end, but I always feel that it's a bit bad not to use a knife. After thinking for a night, I decided to use the knife of the Innocent Lord of the Sky Moving Guide. I hope you enjoy eating it. Hey, now the main text begins. Although the three demon gods were a bit panicked about the current situation, they also knew in their hearts that they must find the person who ambushed them before they could leave, otherwise they would sooner or later be trapped and die here. So these three demon gods began to use all their means to find the demon god who was ambushing them. Time passes by minute by second. Although they were all desperately searching, as expected, they didn't even see a single person. And the shadow energy in the black domain is gradually eroding their hearts. The upper-level demon god, due to his strong strength, did not corrode as severely and could still maintain a clear state. But the mental states of those two demon gods have become somewhat unstable. The moon demon god went crazy first, shouting loudly that Morakots would take his life while summoning weapons to crazily wield and kill another mid-level demon god. Moon demon god, are you crazy? Why do you chop me down? Another mid-level demon god roared while evading the moon demon god's attack. But the moon demon god seemed to have not heard it, only shouting words such as Morakots dying in his mouth, but his attack did not weaken at all, and even increased. The temper of another mid-level demon god was also ignited. You bastard, dare to attack me. Today, I will see if you are dead or I am dead. He began to launch a counterattack. The strongest upper-level demon god had intended to stop them when he saw this. As a result, without taking 2 steps forward, I felt a sharp pain behind me. It turned out that someone had stabbed him behind the back. Damn it, who the hell are you? You have the ability to come out. The strongest upper-level demon god roared helplessly. As a result, his chest was slashed again. Don't let me find you, otherwise you'll be dead. The upper-level demon god also fell into a state of madness. Crazy attack on the darkness in front of us. But this was always in vain, no one could defeat the shadow protector in the black domain, including the Emperor's armor from that time. Now these 3 demon gods are not as powerful as Xian and have been designed to enter the black domain. Their death is already predetermined. The upper-level demon god became increasingly weak under Xian's continuous attacks. In the end, he didn't even have the strength to stand up and could only kneel on the ground, panting heavily. And the remaining 2 middle-level demon gods have also reached the end of their crossbows due to prolonged self-destruction. But a saying that goes like a blessing in disguise. Because even though they were seriously injured, their willpower was able to temporarily resist the corrosion of the Black Realm. The upper-level demon knows that the 3 of them are doomed today and have no chance of survival. But he is still very strange. When did Yuan have such a strong person? Please have this demon god powerhouse appear so that I can at least see who killed me before I die, so that I won't go underground and become a confused ghost. That's as you wish, a voice of darkness came in. The upper-level demon god saw a handsome man dressed in black. Green long hair fluttered in the wind. Don't worry about why there is wind in the Black Realm. That's not important. It highlights a person's immortal aura even more. Who are you? Why haven't I seen you on the continent of Tivat? The higher demon god asked. These 72 demon gods have long known each other, although their relationship is not so friendly, and some demon gods even have very bad relationships with each other, either you die or I die. But he asked himself in his heart that he had never seen this person before. You must have seen me before you saw a ghost, Xian sneered. I am not one of your Tivat people, and I am also from the Morakots camp that I joined just a few days ago. Hehe, it seems that we have suffered a fair defeat. It turns out we are outsiders. I knew we wouldn't listen to the temptation of the dream demon god. The upper-level demon god deeply regretted it. He didn't have much grudge against Morakots originally, it's just that there may be some conflicts in his usual resource struggles. Although Morakots taught him a lesson, he did not inflict any harm on him. And now he is about to die here. You don't have to feel so desolate, because there will be more demons accompanying you down the underworld in the future. You can be a companion below, just be careful in your next life. Xian's expression was very gentle, as if speaking to a close friend. Of course, if we ignore what he is saying. May I ask your name? Asked the demon god urgently, I don't want anyone to kill me after I die. Xian. Xian only replied with this sentence. Afterwards, it pushed the element of wood to grow 3 huge vines out of nowhere, instantly piercing through the hearts of the 3. 3 people died on the spot. The origin of the body and the malice before death are transformed into pure shadow energy by the black domain and absorbed by Xian. Hehe, it's great. After arriving on this Tivat continent, I finally collected enough shadow energy. Xian nodded with satisfaction. Count it up, Morakots should be about to end the battle there. Now go and ask him for the remains of those demon gods. Xian emerged from the Black Realm and saw that Gui Zhong and Marco Hu's expressions became somewhat respectful. After all, this world is revered by the strong, even though Morakots and the Dragon King are at the peak of their demon-level combat power, just like Xian. But after all, he became familiar with the 2 of them, and Xian only joined Gui Yuan. It's inevitable to be a bit reserved. To the end, Marcus. I'll help Morakots first, and you 2 must guard your return to the original place. I'll go first. What do you think of Xian as a person? Marcus asked. Although I haven't known him for a long time, I can vaguely feel that he is someone who does whatever it takes to achieve his own goals. The reason why he befriends us is also because we want to achieve his goals. But it doesn't matter, as long as it's not related to our return to the original. What's his purpose? Maximus nodded. This battle, later known as the Galiyuan Meat Grinder, is about to come to an end. Zhongli and Ruochuo Dragon King worked together to defeat these 12 demon gods, but they couldn't lift their heads. Even now, 6 demon gods have fallen, but strictly speaking, 5 demon gods have fallen. Because the demon god of the vortex, Ossel, was not killed by Zhongli, but was sealed by Zhongli. But by now, the outcome of the battle has been determined. Suddenly, an upper-level demon god was startled and said, "Oh no, I can't feel the aura of the upper-level demon god attacking Gili Yuan. Hurry up." As soon as the words were finished, the dream demon god took advantage of the fact that the other demon gods were still fighting between Zhongli and Ruodalang King, and suddenly launched an attack on the Qianyan army and immortals below. Although Zhongli responded promptly and blocked most of the attacks from the Dream Demon God, the remaining part of the attacks were not something that the Qianyan army and immortals could withstand. In an instant, thousands of people were killed in the Qianyan army camp. Even 5 or 6 weaker immortals in the immortal camp were killed by this wave of attacks. And the most tragic one is undoubtedly the innocent Lord of the Sky Moving Guide. He was already seriously injured in the long battle with the enemy immortal, and it was already the end of the crossbow. The Dream Demon God has launched another attack. Although this attack does not affect the innocent Lord of the Sky Moving Guide. But when he saw the Qianyan army being attacked, he didn't hesitate to use his body to block the attack for the Qianyan army. Otherwise, the casualties of the Qianyan army would be more than that. The innocent Lord of the Sky Moving Guide was already at the end of a strong crossbow, and this attack was like the last straw that crushed a camel. He could no longer hold on, and the immortal who had stood firm in previous battles fell heavily. His scalp was even torn apart in previous battles, and his death was very tragic. The remaining few demon gods, including the Dream Demon God, knew their plans had failed and quickly retreated during this chaotic period. The ferry camp and military camp of the coalition army below have also begun to retreat from the back. Zhongli originally intended to pursue, but upon seeing the tragic situation of the innocent Lord of the Moving Xiao Dao, he decided to immediately give up the pursuit and instead go see the injuries of the innocent Lord of the Moving Xiao Dao. Emperor. Lu Yun borrowed the wind and found himself crying. He has no vitality in the sky. Guess if the heavenly sky mover, innocent Lord, has really died. Hey hey. Chapter 8. Transfer. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Dear readers, now Xian has started to resurrect the power beast. Guess who resurrected first? The main text begins. The immortals on the side all showed sad expressions. Although they had long known that war would inevitably require sacrifice, they still couldn't accept it when their closest comrades sacrificed themselves. Fuchsia, the most enthusiastic immortal in his daily life, remained silent at this moment, only looking at the corpse of the innocent lord of the moving sky with red eyes. On the side, Fa Nan relied on Ingda's arms to hide his face and cry. And the newly arrived fairy mandarins, fearless of life and death, fought bravely in this war. By relying on a deadly combat style that only focuses on attacking and neglecting defense, he killed 3 enemies of the same level of immortals in a row. I have also paid a very high price myself. The injury that was previously treated by Zhongli has recurred or even become more serious than before. If not treated in time, one's life may be at risk. Due to his outstanding contributions in this war, the Qianyan army soldiers and immortals who had previously rejected him also recognized him. After all, if it weren't for the sacrificial and forgetful gameplay of Shi, the Qianyan army legion and immortals would have died even more. Zhongli's golden pupils looked at the innocent lord of the sky moving guide. Memories in my mind of every moment I had with the innocent lord of the sky moving guide, the emperor's chess skills are getting higher and higher, and I can't resist them anymore. The sky moving guide looked at Zhongli with admiration. In terms of universal rationality, old friend, this is not a big deal. Your chess skills are also very advanced, and I was able to win against you purely by chance. Emperor, when do you think this war will end? We have too many people and companions who have lost their lives due to this war. Isn't it good for each demon god to govern their own tribes separately? Why do they have to attack each other? Is it really because of a light and ethereal instruction from Sky Island? That day, Sky Island treated us creatures as chess pieces and toys, watching us fight to amuse themselves. Are we just damn cannon fodder? Zhongli seemed somewhat touched. Old friend, you also know me. Although my strength is at the peak of the demon gods, I don't like killing and fighting, but I have no choice with you comrades for the sake of the people. Although I don't know why those in the sky formulated such policies, I think they have their own considerations. Even if we take a step back, they are purely trying to see us kill each other for their pleasure, and we have no choice. We can only take a step and see. The innocent lord of the sky mover shook his head helplessly, only drinking the tea in his hand without saying anything more. Returning to reality, Zhongli felt a headache. Is it another wear and tear? Zhongli murmured to himself. At this moment, Xian emerged from a crack. Except for Zhongli and King Ruodolong, all the immortals and soldiers of the Qianyan army present bowed to Xian. Master Xian, Xian waved his hand to signal that they were ready. He looked at the scene before him and roughly understood what had happened. He looked at Zhongli, but suddenly a smile appeared. Zhongli felt very puzzled. Although he didn't have a deep understanding of Xian, he shouldn't be the kind of person who would gloat at the suffering of others. So why did he laugh? Is it difficult or not? Zhongli also had some speculations in his heart. Look at your dejected and listless appearance. These Qianyan army and immortals don't need to be mentioned, but you, Zhongli, are just like them. Oh, by the way, who is that one? Why haven't you introduced him? Xuanfa asked. By the way, I forgot to introduce myself to you. This is another peak demon level combat power of our Yuan. He is the rock element dragon king of this continent, named Ruodo. Xian and Ruodo nodded and gestured. Nice to meet you, my name is Xian. Nice to meet you. Ruotuo responded and shook hands with Xian. Zhongli is actually feeling a bit embarrassed inside now. The reason why he didn't introduce Ruodolong King to Xian was not because he forgot, but because he had not been with Xian for long. Although he had already made a contract with Xian, he always had some trumps in his hand. Xian naturally knew what Zhongli was thinking, so he skipped this topic. Be happy, Zhongli, Xian said and coughed again, deliberately playing a trick. What if I say I have the ability to save him? When hearing the first half of the sentence, Zhongli, Roa Tua Long Wang, and even the immortals, the soldiers of the Qianyan army were still very unhappy in their hearts. After all, put yourself in the shoes of someone who made you happy just after your closest comrade passed away. Isn't this just finding fault? But when everyone heard the latter half of the sentence, they stared at Xian with an incredulous expression on their faces. Even Zhong Li's golden pupils kept staring at Xian, as if they were trying to fully understand him through those eyes. Xian, do you know what you're talking about? Zhong Li asked. Yes, Master Xian, we all know that you have strong abilities, but resurrect one person. Lu Yun interjected with Feng Jinjuan. The immortals and the soldiers of the Qianyan army were also discussing, feeling that it was impossible. If this sentence were not spoken by Xian, but by someone else, they might have directly taken action. Zhongli, of course I know what I'm talking about. You're right. Of all things in the world, only life and death are the most irreversible. It's usually impossible to go against life and death. Even if you can do it occasionally, you will pay a very painful price. After all, this is a tampering with the cycle of the heavenly way, trampling on the order of the heavenly way on the ground. Zhongli had already heard him say the words, average. What do you mean? You should all know that I am not from this continent. In fact, you may not understand the detailed information I have introduced to you. I will only explain some simple things to you. In summary, there are only two origins of our universe, the dark origin and the light origin. These two origins are interdependent and hostile to each other, and are the foundation of this universe. With the continuous development and evolution of the universe, both of these origins have transformed into human form. The light origin has transformed into the light emperor, which is the heavenly Tao. The dark origin has transformed into the shadow emperor, which is the shadow heavenly Tao. They have respectively established the Ming realm and the shadow realm. Xia Bucai is a person from the shadow realm. He was instructed by the emperor to come and complete the task. The only ones in the world who can reverse life and death are these two origins, and their power. This explanation also made everyone fully understand the origin of Xian. Zhong Li's face showed a rare expression of happiness. Xian, since you said that, then you must have enough dark energy to resurrect the innocent Lord of the Sky Moving Guide, right? Xian Jian Zhongli was already interested in this. Then he borrowed a donkey and said downhill. Well, it's possible, it's just. Xian's tone paused a bit. Zhongli immediately understood Xian's meaning and said, you and I have made a contract to collect the power of the dark source for these demon gods, monsters, and other creatures. As long as you can agree to rescue the Heavenly Lord, the corpses of these 5 demon gods, as well as a large number of enemy immortals and army corpses, will all belong to you. If it's not enough, I can kill the sealed osel for you to gather the power of the dark source. Although Zhongli does not like killing, if it benefits his friends and people. He doesn't mind creating another killing business. Anyway, Orsul deserved his death. Morax, haven't you forgotten the specific terms of the contract you and I made? The corpses of your demons and immortals, as well as the corpses of the army, belong to me. Because just now 3 demons attacked Gili Yuan. If it weren't for me, Gili Yuan and Marcus would be in danger. I have protected your Gili Yuan according to the contract, and you should also hand over the corpses you collected to me according to the contract. Zhongli heard that there was a demon attacking Gue Liyuan. Although he had already anticipated it in his heart still trembled. If it weren't for Xian coincidentally arriving at Giliyuan, I and the Dragon King may not be able to make it back in time. So, Zhongli dare not imagine such consequences. What are your conditions, Xian? Zhongli asked. I can tell you the conditions now. I heard that there is a very powerful demon god in the area east of Gili Yuan, named Gao Ta Gu Wang Daikarapian. His strength will soon break through to the peak demon god level. My condition is that when Gao Ta Gu Wang breaks through the peak demon god, you and I will hunt him together. When Zhongli heard Xian's conditions, he hesitated for a while. But he quickly made up his mind, although the lone king of the high tower had no grudges against him, attacking him first was not in line with his own philosophy. But even if it goes against one's own beliefs, it doesn't matter when one thinks that the innocent Lord of the Sky Moving Guide can be resurrected. Okay, I promise you. Okay, it's great. Xian was also very happy. You all step back first and see how I can resurrect this immortal. Zhongli and everyone stepped back a few hundred meters, leaving enough space for Xian. Xian summoned a black prismatic box. Yes, this is the black domain. The black domain emitted a large amount of shadow energy, enveloping the body of the innocent Lord of the Sky Moving Guide, making it difficult for people to see the specific situation clearly. Quickly, the energy of the shadow was absorbed by the Heavenly Empress Dowager. His injuries miraculously healed and he stood up leisurely. Didn't I die? Is this the underworld? Zhongli, seeing that you and I have such a pleasant cooperation, I will give you another small gift package. After speaking, the energy of the shadows in the black domain shone all over Xi's body. The injuries of the mandarins were originally very serious, as if they had run out of oil and the lamp had dried up. Zhongli has already planned to consume his original resources again to heal the wounds of Xiao. But there is no need for that now, as all of the injuries of the mandarins have been fully recovered. Even their strength has improved a bit. Chapter 9. Orobas and Salt in the Earth. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Zhongli murmured on the side, the power of this dark origin is so magical. It can not only heal injuries, but also resurrect. It seems we need to establish a good relationship with Xian. Moving the sky, the innocent lord looked around in confusion and suddenly found that the immortals such as Lu Yun, Jiefeng, and Jinjuan were also here. Even the emperor and the king of Ruodolong were on the side, and even Xian, who had just joined Galiyuan, was among them. The expression of Emperor Xiaodao's innocent ruler immediately became extremely sad and angry. Tears streamed down his face, and he said, Emperor, Ruotua, Master Xian, and everyone have accompanied me down here. Have we all been destroyed before? No, no one in the world can achieve destruction and return to the garden. At this moment, Emperor Xiaodao's innocent ruler suddenly thought of something, and his expression immediately became angry and twisted. Sky Island, not only do you force us to launch a demon war and play with us like chess pieces, but you even personally take action to destroy me, Gili Yuan. If there is a next life, I will do everything to destroy Sky Island. Ah! I want to slaughter it all. On the side, Lu Yun borrowed the wind and really couldn't bear to watch anymore. He rushed over to slap the innocent lord of the moving Xiao Dao. Did your brain get flooded or were you kicked by a donkey? Did everyone not die, or did you expect us to die early? Upon hearing the words of Lu Yun borrowing the wind, the innocent lord of the sky mover was momentarily stunned. You're not dead. No, I'm already dead. If you're not dead, how could you come to the underworld like me? After hearing this, Lu Yun borrowed the wind and gave a slap to Yi Xiao Daonai. Don't guess, you're still alive. If you want to enter the underworld early, just tell me and I'll send you down. Do you want paper money and tribute then? I'll prepare well for you then. Upon hearing this, the innocent lord of the sky moving guide became even more puzzled. No, I remember I was indeed dead at the time. I felt like I saw someone hooking my soul. This. Ruotuolong King laughed heartily and said, Oh no, I can't do it anymore. I'm laughing to death. Lu Yun, please tell him quickly. Otherwise, he'll always think he's in the underworld, haha. After listening to the words of King Ruodolong, Lu Yun borrowed the wind and began explaining everything to the innocent lord of Xiaodao. After understanding all of this, the heavenly lord, who moved to the sky, looked at Xian like a ghost. He couldn't understand why Xian could pull him back from the path of death. But this was just a brief emotion, and the innocent lord of the sky moving guide bowed to Xian. Thank you, Lord Xian, for resurrecting me. Such kindness cannot be repaid. Whatever happens in the future, let it be driven. The attitude of Emperor Qian Shao, the innocent ruler, was very sincere. No matter what others thought of Xian, he was completely devoted to him. After all, it's a life-saving gesture. I'm sorry. If you want to thank me, thank your emperor. If it weren't for your emperor signing a contract with me, I wouldn't have saved you. Xian shrugged nonchalantly. Thank you, emperor, for your life-saving kindness. The innocent lord of the sky-moving guide once again saluted Zhongli. If you look closely, you may even notice that the innocent lord's gaze has turned into the shape of a star. Congratulations to our sky mover innocent master for upgrading from a fanatical emperor chef to an ultimate fanatical emperor chef. So I declare that we have won the Battle of Yuan. Tonight we will hold a celebration banquet. The expressions of the immortals did not change much due to Zhongli's words, but the soldiers of the Qianyan army cheered like a boiling ocean. Some even shed tears of joy and tears. This is not only because of the celebration banquet hosted by the emperor, but most importantly, because they won the war and successfully defended the safety of the returning people. Now we are starting to clean up the battlefield, bringing the bodies of our brave martyrs back to their original place for the highest-scale funeral, and setting up a monument to record their heroic actions for future generations to pay tribute to. This statement made the soldiers of Qianyan army even more excited. Their sacrifice was not in vain. The emperor remembered them, and future generations will also remember them. The bodies of those who sacrificed their heroes may have died, but their spirits will remain immortal and leave a lasting legacy for centuries. Let's turn the camera to the fleeing demons. They suffered heavy losses in this operation, not only failing to successfully launch a surprise attack on Yuan, but also damaging 9 demon gods and a large number of soldiers and horses. I believe this matter will immediately cause a sensation on the continent of Tivat. After all, the war of the demon gods had only begun a few years ago, and the scale of the war between the demon gods was not particularly strong, so there was no fall of the demon gods before this war. But this battle resulted in the fall of 9 demon gods. It is believed that after this battle, the reputation of Zhongli and King Ruodalong will spread throughout the continent, and the outsider Xian will also attract attention from all parties. Damn it, I never expected that outsider. If it weren't for him, our plan would have been successful. The anger of the dream demon god reached its limit, and her originally fresh and beautiful face twisted like a demon just out of hell. What should we do now? Asked Orobas the great snake. He had originally planned to take advantage of this great war to fight, perhaps to severely damage the chance that Gili had planned to obtain those 7 great deities. But now the operation has suffered a disastrous defeat, and Orobas knows in his heart that if he continues to stay in this area, he will definitely be liquidated by Morakots. In addition, he was seriously injured at the beginning of the battle, and if he hadn't received a precious healing artifact in his early years. I'm afraid he fell long ago. Even so, his current injury is not optimistic. Alas, we have already failed. We will definitely face Morakots' great settlement. Before Morakots takes action, let's quickly flee to the outer sea of the dark. Because even if we go to other areas, it is unlikely that we will compete for the position of these 7 gods, and there is no good karma in other areas. What about our people? Don't we just ignore them? Orobas asked the demon god of dreams. Do you think we are all struggling to protect ourselves? Can we still manage those people? Besides, the environment in the area outside the Dark Sea is very harsh. Even if we can go with them, they will eventually be eliminated by that harsh environment. Although Morakots will definitely pursue us, he should not target our people because this guy is extremely principled. Since the outbreak of this war, I have not heard of him being attacked by civilians. Orobas could only nod in response to the demon god of dreams. Yes, they are all struggling to protect themselves. How can we manage those people? Perhaps handing over those people to Morakots would be a good choice, as Morakots would at least treat them equally. Orobas actually felt a bit guilty in his heart. If he could have taken his people on the run, he would have taken them with him long ago. Unfortunately. Fortunately, it was Morakots who came to manage his people. Otherwise, Orobas would have had to fight hard. Even if you die, you must protect your own people, I'm sorry. Orobas silently shouted several times before running away from the Dream Demon God and the others. But he doesn't want to go to the outer dark sea. He wants to gamble his luck in other areas. Perhaps the demon god in one area is not strong enough, and he can become one of the 7 gods by chance. By the way, let's go to Kunyu first. After all, his injuries can't go too far. After reaching the realm of the salt demon god, Orobas' injuries worsened due to prolonged running. Orobas surprisingly fell into a coma. Damn it, can't it be that I'm about to fall here? I'm not willing to accept it, Orobas exclaimed frantically in his heart before falling into a coma. Salt in the earth. Salt God Palace. The salt demon god Yulia was resting in the palace when suddenly a soldier entered the palace to report the situation to the salt demon god. Lord Yulia, a giant snake suddenly fell from the sky over our salt region in the middle of the earth. Fortunately, the location of the fall was remote and there were no casualties. Yulia felt a surge of curiosity. Is a large snake Orobas? How could he fall into my territory? Okay, you step back first. After the soldiers stepped down, Yulia decided to personally go and see the situation. What Yulia didn't know was that the bond between her and Orobas' fate began. Chapter 10. Morakots' Unification of the Dry Regions. You are listening at novelfull.audio. When Yulia arrived at the scene, she looked at the broken body of the snake and felt very surprised. It's really Orobas. How could he have fallen into my territory and suffered such serious injuries? Yulia only thought for a moment and understood. I heard that many demon gods who opposed Morakots had gathered together before to attack Morakots. But they were defeated by him. Aren't Orobas joining in this fun? Yulia hesitated a bit at this moment. To be honest, she wanted to save Olympus, but Olympus was clearly injured by Morakots. Saving him wouldn't mean offending Morakots. But Yulia hesitated for a moment before making up her mind. She couldn't see Orobas waiting for death on her territory, she couldn't do it. Moreover, when other demons were exerting all their strength to oppress her and her people, only Orobas and Morakots extended a helping hand. Although they did not provide much assistance, she still harbored gratitude towards these 2 demons. Anyway, even if Morakots really finds him because of this, it will be a matter of the future. Now go save Orobas. In the days following the end of the Galilean meat grinder campaign, significant changes occurred both internally and externally in Galilean. Firstly, a grand funeral was held inside Galilean, and although this battle ended with the victory of Galilean's side. But more than half of the 1,000,000 rock soldiers were killed in action, and according to incomplete statistics, as many as 700,000 people were killed in action. Even those 300,000 people who survived were all injured. This battle is the deadliest loss for Galilean since the outbreak of the Demon God War. But the heavy cost will inevitably lead to substantial results. In this single battle, the demon gods of the entire Chinyu domain either died in battle or fled. Oh yes, there is also an Orsal that has been sealed. Even if there is still one salt demon god, Yulia, it is not enough to be afraid. After all, the strength of the salt demon god Yulia is the lowest among the demon gods. Even the dust demon god, who is also a lower-level demon god, and the stove demon god Marco Hughes, can easily defeat her. Returning to the original and unifying the entire dry region is the trend. Of course, the achievements in Galilean's field are rich, but in reality, the biggest winner in this battle is still our Xian. The remains of the enemy demon gods who died in battle, as well as the enemy immortals and army corpses, all belong to Xian. At that time, while collecting the remains of the enemy demon god, Zhongli wanted to remind Xian to be careful of the evil thoughts of worshipping gods that arise after the demon god's death. But then he shook his head as if he had thought of something. Xian was originally going to collect their grievances and evil thoughts. That's collecting the power of worshipping gods. It seems that this is still a good thing. At least the immortals and the people of later generations no longer need to be eroded by the power of worshipping gods and lead to death. Zhongli nodded with satisfaction. Although Xian generated a lot of shadow energy by killing the upper-level demon god and 2 middle-level demon gods in the Black Domain, half of it was directly consumed after reviving the Heavenly Sky Guide Innocent Lord. The shadow energy used to heal the mandible is nothing more than drizzle compared to this. Basically, it's ignored. Readers should not doubt why half of the shadow energy generated by the 3 demon gods only needs to be used to resurrect one immortal. After all, resurrection is a matter of reverse life and death. Even if shadow energy can be resurrected, it requires a lot of energy. Moreover, shadow energy is not something that can be resurrected at will. Each person only has one chance to resurrect. If they die again, using shadow energy is absolutely impossible to resurrect. The only way to resurrect infinitely is to use the power of the Shadow Emperor or the Light Emperor. Similarly, light energy and shadow energy are the same. In this battle, a total of 5 demonic remains were collected, and just like last time, there was also the remains of a higher level demonic god. More importantly, the corpses of those immortals and soldiers, although their resentment, malice, and the shadow energy generated by their origins are far less than the shadow energy generated by the demon gods. But there is a saying that goes very well. Quantitative change leads to qualitative change. The shadow energy transformed from the corpses of millions of enemy soldiers and 70 to 80 immortals can be equivalent to the shadow energy generated by the resentment of the 3 middle demon gods after their death. Now it's time to put the plan to revive the army of powerful beasts on the agenda. The universe is vast, and only the power of time and space, reincarnation, darkness, and light can cross any plane without obstruction. So even if they are sealed on Earth, as long as there is enough shadow energy, they can break through the constraints of the light and shadow stone, and even cross the plane of Earth to directly transport the sealed power beasts to the continent of Tivat. But because we need to break through the constraints of the light shadow stone and cross the plane of the Earth at the same time, the energy consumption of the shadow is very huge. Although Xian has now collected the shadow power generated by the malice of 8 demon gods, millions of soldiers, and dozens of immortals. But these energies can only support him to resurrect 3 demon beasts at most. Although Xian wanted to resurrect the other 4 protectors the most, the shadow energy was only enough to resurrect 1 protector. This was still without the constraints of light and shadow stones and crossing planes. Brothers, wait a little longer, I will soon make you all return to the world. Xian secretly swore. Xian's hands were shrouded in a black mist, and his right hand swiped forward. A line of magic cards appeared in front of Xian. Xian made a few more swipes into the air. The 4 elements magic scripts have appeared again. There are a total of 54 magic cards here. I think some readers may ask me, isn't it 55 magic posts? Why are there 54? You can guess if you don't know. Although all the supernatural beasts are sealed on Earth, summoning the magic scripture Xian can still be done. However, if you want to turn magic stickers into concrete power beasts, you need a lot of shadow energy. Thinking of this, Xian couldn't help but marvel at why the Emperor sent him to the continent of Tivat. In addition to generating a large amount of shadow energy in their shadow realm, they can only collect trace amounts of shadow energy through the negative emotions of living organisms. Moreover, the Earth is the territory of the bright realm, and the shadow energy generated is even more negligible. Otherwise, how could they possibly let the psychic beasts deliver one by one? That's really an impossible solution. And the continent of Tivat is somewhat unique, where the resentment and malice generated by creatures after death can even be transformed into pure shadow energy. I think the Emperor has already made a lot of preparations for today. No wonder in the past 5,000 years, Emperor Guangming has prepared his backhand, which is the Emperor's armor, but he himself has not left any backhand for them. So the backhand is here. After all, they can fail countless times, while in the Ming world, if they fail once, they will lose everything. Master Xian, the Emperor has called you over. There is something important to discuss, Xian nodded in response. Please wait a moment, I will come right away. Xian looked at these 54 magic stickers and picked them carefully. Finally, 3 demon beasts were selected. They are Magic 1, Magic 2, and Magic 10 respectively. The Black Domain releases a large amount of shadow energy to resurrect Magic 1, Magic 2, and Magic 10. Let's go over now. By the time I come back, they will probably have completed their resurrection. Mingjie, you will lose this time. Zhongli, the End, Marcus, the king of Ruodalang, and the immortals have long been waiting in the palace. Seeing Xian coming over, the meeting immediately began. In terms of universal rationality, the demon gods and the Qianyu are either killed in battle or fleeing. Only the demon god of salt, Hulia, is still in the Qianyu. We can say that we have basically unified the Qianyu. Now I announce the official renaming of the Guiyu to Liyue. As soon as Zhongli finished speaking, the immortals cheered excitedly. They finally unified the dry region. The seat of one of the 7 gods on Sky Island has finally been given to their emperor. But the moon-cutting and sun-building true lord on the side seemed to have something to say. Emperor, according to our scout in the salt of the earth, one of the demon gods who fought against us that day, Orobas, is now healing in the salt of the earth. What should we do? Upon hearing this, Zhongli waved his hand and said, "Don't worry about Orobas. Previously, I had a different stance when fighting with him. He didn't kill me without authorization and returned to the original people. And he also paid the price for his failure. He gave up his tribe and suffered serious injuries. He lost his soldiers and generals. The punishment now is enough. Since he can heal his wounds in the salt of the earth, it proves that Hulia has taken him in. Alright, send an envoy to tell Hulia that as long as she is willing to submit to me, Liyue, and voluntarily give up the opportunity to compete for the throne of one of the 7 gods in the demon god war. Her tribe can still exist and can also protect Orobas. She should agree. After all, her strength is too weak. Surrender is also a good choice. Of course, what I mean by surrender is not attachment. She can still maintain the independence of her tribe. Jianhua Zhuyang Jinjuan nodded and said yes, then retreated to arrange an envoy. Today, in addition to announcing the renaming of Guiliyuan to Liyue, there is another major event. I have decided to build the main city of Liyue in the southeast of Qianyu and name it Liyue Port. The original Guiliyuan area will be managed by Xianlai. The immortals did not raise any objections. After all, Xian played a crucial role in this battle. If it weren't for what he called Gili Yuan, their headquarters might have suffered a devastating blow. Gui Liyuan's management of Xianlai is also a recognition of his achievements. Xian seemed surprised, as his gaze towards Morax revealed an incredulity. Are you joking, Zhongli? How long have we only known each other? Do you dare to give me your original headquarters? You should know that my purpose is not simple. Zhongli's golden pupils looked towards Xian. I naturally know that your purpose is not simple, but you also have a big plan. But as long as you have a friendly attitude towards me, Liyue, won't that be enough? I don't care about your affairs. It seems that I must manage Guiliyuan now. Alright, I promise you. Zhongli nodded in satisfaction and finally tied Xian completely to Liyue's chariot.